Hi, my name is Brian Droidcore. I'm an editor at Art in America, where I run a weekly email newsletter on art and technology. And this is a conversation series I do with artists, curators, organizers, and other people involved in the field. And today I'm talking to Don Hanson, an artist and the creator of New Art City, a platform for virtual exhibitions, about this platform and what he's doing with it. So hi, Don, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks.
So I'd love it if you could start out by just telling us a bit about what New Art City is, how you started it, and why.
Yeah, sure. So New Art City is a virtual exhibition platform. And so it's not so much a gallery space as it is a place where anybody can create an exhibition and build an online gallery or a place to show their work. And it includes multiplayer features, so you could set a show date and have all your friends or all of your fans or your audience come at the same time and experience what feels like a real show opening, but all in virtual space.
Okay. Is it is it based on some other kind of system, or did you build it from the ground up?
Yeah, it's based on some open source technology. Like, it's definitely a very customized system, but like the underlying rendering engine is Three.js, which is a pretty well-known open source library for rendering 3D graphics on the web. And so, yeah, we owe a great debt to like the creators of Three.js for allowing this. And it's a technology that's really come to maturity in these past few years. So it's really amazing that we can now render these 3D scenes just in a web browser. Like, you don't have to download any extra software and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and I can tell you a little bit about how it started and how long I've been working on it and stuff like
yeah.
that. So kind of like throughout my entire art career, I've been thinking about like this important question of how do you exhibit internet art? It's this like type of art that really only exists on the computer. And of course, you know, you could put a computer in the gallery, but that's not as much of an exciting experience. And it's really not the way that internet art is meant to be experienced. So this is something that's kind of been in the back of my mind as I'm like going through my MFA program at Cadre Laboratory for New Media at San Jose State. And so while I was doing my regular artwork, we got hit with this pandemic in quarantine. All of our classes were moved online, and all of the artists who are scheduled to do these shows can no longer do their shows at the university. And for the MFAs, like, I mean, it's not such a big deal when you're like pursuing an MFA, like there will always be more shows. But for the undergraduate students, like it's kind of devastating when you can't do your senior show. You've been working for 4 years, you're just about to enter the art world, and then you just like can't do it. So as soon as this happened, I started exploring some technologies, thinking like, okay, maybe I can make a prototype for this. Like maybe I can make something that sort of simulates an art show. So I made the first prototype and then kind of built in this multiplayer aspect, which I think is one of the most important parts, because there have been these 3D kind of exhibition spaces before, but now that we're able to do like these advanced web technologies, layering in multiplayer and having aspects of co-presence where people can chat to each other in the space, that's huge. And that actually made it feel like a sense of place for these students. So we had this big show with like 30 different undergrad students, and they were just the best set of beta testers you could ask for. Like, we gave them access and they uploaded all of their work and kind of stuck with it, even though it was a very early version of our system. And they built this great show. We even had a virtual commencement ceremony for them. And so that was a hit for that first exhibition. And we kind of just kept going. And I picked up some great collaborators. Benny, Martin, and Sammy are helping me now to build this into something that is bigger than just this one exhibition. We can bring on other organizations to put on exhibitions, new artists. Yeah, like, so there's a lot that we can do now.
Okay. So you've been involved in the net art scene for a while. You've participated in the Wrong Biennial and some other online exhibitions. And I'm just curious, do you sort of draw ideas for how to display net art from these other these other platforms, or are you kind of thinking about what you can do that hasn't been done already?
Yeah, that's a good question because there there have been a lot of internet art exhibitions, and I feel like that's one of the most exciting types of exhibitions for me because it doesn't really take people out of their homes. You know, like internet art actually comes to people in their most intimate environment, which is their home, their own computer, their own device in their hand. So I feel like the internet art exhibition is a really intimate connection between an artist and a viewer. So I've been kind of exploring that over the years and seen like all of these like 2D online exhibitions, which are really fun and always very exciting, and a few lately that are 3D. And so I guess I'm pulling some of that 2D feeling where like you can create art, you can create an exhibition, you can reach tons and tons of people, but folding in this new layer of technology that's now kind of coming to maturity. So I guess I would say that I'm not as much inspired by what's already been done, but more inspired about what can be done now and what is coming in the future.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think is really striking about New Art City is the way that the kind of space can be customized. So now I'm sort of looking at the student exhibition that you were talking about, where the floor is sort of black with flecks of light, and then there's also this other. Let me see if I can pull this up. This one is called Dismal Sessions, where the exhibition is kind of set in the swamp with lots of trees and sort of creepy, misty backgrounds and colors. So how do curators or artists who are using this platform customize the space, and where did that idea come out of? It has this kind of like MySpace feel to it, where people just sort of, make the environment for the information they're presenting their own.
Yeah, totally. And I love that reference to MySpace because that was one of the first systems where a lot of people learned how to code, do HTML and CSS just to make their page look the way they wanted it to. And that empowered a lot of users. And that's really what we're trying to do also, is empower the artists to really express themselves in their space. So we've kind of got a basic set of tools, and it's really, it's a website builder. It's a content management system, and it's a way of building an exhibition without using any code. So we offer a flexible set of tools, and what really makes it though is what people decide to upload. So like there's basic stuff like the sky, the floor, the fog that are just kind of settings, but when people start to upload 3D objects and videos and place those in space, that's when it really starts to become a site-specific exhibition. And I feel like that's one of the most important parts of this, is not to just recreate what we can do in a gallery, but to really make something site-specific, like make something that can only exist in a virtual space using the affordances that a virtual space gives you.
And you shared the tutorial with me that people can look at, and it's very sort of user-friendly and intuitive. You can just like take the same image and either upload it as a work or as the floor, as the wall, which is really cool. I was curious if you do any work in VR or 3D, because you make a lot of websites that are 2D, and you were sort of talking about your interest in shifting these two. And I think in New Art City, there is this kind of interesting balance of sort of 2D net art project and the 3D space, which seems like kind of the future of these kinds of online exhibitions. So yeah, what is your interest there, and have you done more experimentation in this virtual space?
Yeah. So I definitely came from the background of a 2D designer making lots of 2D web pages for the longest time. And it's only within the past few years that I've actually started to wrap my head around 3D and how to build in 3D. So I really don't have a background in that. I have done some VR experiments before. And as fun as that is, VR offers, it offers some really great ways of expressing yourself, but it offers some really serious limitations in terms of access, who can view the art, how you distribute it, and that kind of thing. So New Art City is actually built in a way where we can add VR later, and people are asking for that. And it's something it is on our roadmap, and we plan to support web VR. But right now, our main priority is making something where artists can express themselves and something that's accessible to the widest amount of audience members. So if we build for VR, that kind of limits who can see it and who can build for it. We really want to build something that's accessible for people who have maybe been kind of systematically locked out of the art world, people who have a harder time getting those exhibitions, and people who are just disadvantaged. So having these ways of getting them into our system and getting them the resources that they want to be able to build stuff is super important for us. And VR, while it's going to be awesome, it's going to be great for a small amount of users, it's not our biggest priority right now.
So you've partnered with some Bay Area institutions, like you hosted a show for the recent Gray Area Festival. You did something with Kodame, and that's where you're based as well. So I'm just wondering what you think about the community for new media in the area. How it's changed in the last year, how it's come together.
Yeah. So I actually really love it. I've been in the Bay Area for about 11 years and kind of been in the art scene and like becoming more of a member of this community. And it's really grown a lot. Like we didn't have that much in terms of art and technology in the beginning, but now there's like these kind of spaces and these organizations that are really holding it down. And one of the coolest things, the Bay Area is pretty small. So we all kind of get to know each other, and it does create a pretty strong community. And like in the past 5 years, I was a technical director at Kodame Art Tech. I helped them a lot put on festivals and shows, and simultaneously technical director at Babe Lab Gallery for New Media in Oakland. So with this experience of working with these kind of DIY new media art organizations, I really saw what it takes, like the blood, sweat, and tears that it takes to put into a festival of new media or any gallery show of new media. And I'm kind of taking that experience into New Art City as well, because this is a DIY effort. Like, I'm an artist, the people I'm working with are artists, and that's really what it takes to create something important for artists. Like, you've got to have that experience. And so I guess I'm taking my experience of the Bay Area art scene and kind of like expanding that globally.
Yeah, I think the community aspect of it, the way that people sort of organize these group shows for around certain communities, whether it's friends or a school or a space, is like a really strong characteristic of what's happening in New Art City, and also the way that you are, working to provide people with this space is sort of in the same spirit of that community. What kind of opportunities do you see for net art now? And do you think, I remember back in March or April, like the New York Times ran some article about how net art is making a comeback now that people are online. What's your perspective on that? Do you feel like it ever really went away? Do you feel like the attention on it now is going to be sustained? What's your perspective on these questions?
Yeah, that's such a cool question, because it's such a phenomenon, because now internet art is kind of one of the main ways that people are experiencing art while they're stuck at home and can really only go online and experience stuff through screens. So it is, it's not nice to have to stay home all the time, but it really is internet art's time to shine. And it's been there all along. It's like, I don't know if it's making a comeback. It's just like, we were there and now we're visible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think in terms of like the future and what's going to happen, what's happening right now is a catalyst for cool stuff to happen online. And things are being built, communities are being formed, and those communities are going to continue to exist, because online space really offers things outside of physical space. So the great things that we're building right now are going to persist. I think like I was saying about artist-run spaces, and we need artist-run spaces and artist-run platforms online. And I think some platforms like Arena are doing a really great job of like being a container for art research and internet art. But what I would really like to see is a dedicated place for internet art where anybody can announce the pieces that they made and get feedback. And like, for instance, like the SoundCloud of internet art. Like that's what I really want to, that's what I want to see. So if there's any internet artists listening right now, you should go ahead and build that before I do.
All right. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me, and I'm really excited to see how your work develops.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.